If we bet on Sam Houston State today, whether it wins the squad route or not, but if we bet on Sam Houston State today and they don't cover and they don't win, I will buy a Sam Houston State jersey and wear it for a week on stream, looking like a fucking idiot. Yeah, he's a moose shit coach. He's a terrible coach. Get Ron Rivera out of here. I'm not even saying to hand the keys over to Bieniemy yet. All I'm saying is this is not our head coach. This is not a winner. This is not our guy. Listen up. All right, take a little mental screenshot of this one. Boop. Give me the Ravens laying 3. Come on, it's got to be Baltimore must play here. They're winning this game big. It's going to be an under game. They're going to be running the shit out of the ball, and they're going to win this game by 5+, maybe 10+. I mean, if you have to listen to Jameis Winston for advice on the sidelines during a game, that's probably when you got to hang him up and maybe go with a different game plan here, Javon, because if he's seeing something that Derek Carr and the coach aren't, that's an issue to me.
That's just Jimmy Butler activities, man. I just don't know if I can click a square and just say, you know what? I'm going to go to the grave with Jimmy Butler today when I see that cut, that profile.
I'm watching them rock down. Brand new bag with Pro, but I didn't pay for it. I don't like spending that cash because I'm trying to savor it.
What's going on, chat? Happy BTL Monday, episode 359 piece. As always, hold the fry, joined by your two hosts, Krabs and Javon, presented by Pickett Sports. If you guys aren't tracking your bets on Pickett Sports, what are you doing? Do you live under a rock? Are you a caveman? Grow up. Start tracking your bets in 2023. hold yourselves accountable. And there's way other features on that app as well, Javon. What's your favorite part about Pickett? What's your favorite part about utilizing it?
My favorite part's probably the funniest part of it. Those little randomly generated parlays. I love just going in there and just seeing what it'll come up with. I like having a little bit of fun on the app, but it's cool too. Trent always talks about how it's so much more positive than the bozos on Twitter. So that's a plus.
Yeah, there's like a Twitter type feature on there, like a Threads with it's just sports betting talk, right? And people talking about bets, giving their picks out, and not being the worst people on earth. Still definitely some chirps, at least on my feed. Maybe it's just me.
Oh yeah, just
definitely less. So chat, you guys are trying to talk some sports, talk some bets, go over to Pickett. There's more than just tracking your bets over there. Okay. Chat, we're going to go over all the recaps from this weekend, an up and down weekend, you could call it, Javon. Let's go ahead and do the squad rides from Friday and Saturday. Recap those puppies. Yeah, those are the worst bets ever. Florida, I'd rather them lose by 50 than how they did it with that buzzer beater 3 at the end to cut it to 4 with no time left. That was awesome. I actually watched that game, the end of it, with my girl, Javon, and she was asking me why I was so upset that they lost by 4. Why would I even care? So then I had to explain that whole situation to her and why that was actually worse by them losing by 20 than them coming back, creeping around, hanging around, and losing by 4. Then we had UVA.
How we let that one slide, man? It
was your fucking pick.
I know. I'm just saying. How do you not veto me if something like that's going to happen, bro? Unreal.
Well, yeah, hindsight's 2020, and I should have. And I'll tell you what, Javon, I'm not feeling too hype about that game. I feel like shell myself afterwards. I've been ripped apart, roasted, beaten down, and disheveled by my colleagues, my classmates, my friends, my roommates, as I should. I deserve
it. Meat wager. Go to the Saturday one first. Goots. Go to the college football one. Pull that one off real quick. Because that was Saturday. I couldn't hit water from a boat. That was like the most confusing until Cal, of course, which Cal was more than just the meat on table bet. Obviously, that was the huge future cash, huge bowl game cash. But other than that, holy piss on Saturday. It's horrendous. It's so bad.
Yeah. You flipped that motherfucker. You flipped that script on Sunday. We'll take it though. I went 3-2, had some positivity on the college football slate there on Saturday. You did not, Javon, but that's okay because Sunday came around and you absolutely dominated the slate. Not a single loser on the board there, Javon. That's a lot of green check marks.
That is a lot of green check marks. We like those. We take those.
Yeah. Not enough for me. It is what it is. Lembaugh coming in with a sub bang, sure. Pushing camos, coming in with a subby. Rambling Gambler coming in with a subby, bang. Love to see it, gents. The Patriots being 4.5. Somebody should be fired by that line being set. The Bills not covering was hilarious, and Josh Allen and that team still does not know how to win. That's pretty much it. Everything else, makes sense. Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, they did their jobs. Seems like they heard some of the chirps about their second half woes. At least Patrick Mahomes did because he balled out in the second half, Javon, and the Chiefs ended up covering after starting that game down 14-0. That reminded me of the Chiefs from about 2 or 3 years ago when they would start every game down a couple tutties and creep their way back up and then find a win. That was fun to watch. They got it done. The Raiders are heinous. It was good to see them finally get a loss there when they deserved it. The squares were cashing too much on the Raiders. It was starting to piss me off. We got a nice Chiefs cover there. Javon, any other football comments from our plays? Looks like the book was not Alan Stroud. With his picks, you cashed there, but there was a doink, and he did not get a big-time win that he needed. Opinions on Stroud after watching another one of his games?
I mean, he was good for a good chunk of the game, but also when they stopped playing zone coverage and Tank Dell stopped getting open every single play, just because you just sit down or run past guys, he didn't really know what to do, which is the problem. That's what I think the real kind of book is out on, not Stroud, but like the offense, which is a problem. Because when it's Nico Collins one-on-one, it's good because Nico Collins is a feast, but they can't really do anything else. So like if Devin Singletary is not running for 100 plus, what are they going to do? So that's the problem when they play these better defenses. So clutch doink, clutch under from the doink, and then he did keep the ball away from the other team, which was huge. System play, pick square, fade after 3. So can't say too much. That was a great game though.
W game, one of the best. Some weird games yesterday. I feel like it was limited scoring in the 1 p.m. So those games were kind of boring. almost smacked the Surge 6.
I just saw this.
Going?
The second Goots put the Surge 6 up. Absolutely hilarious. It's unreal.
I mean, that hurts. Trent, that's it. We'll take that parlay any day of the week, though. You were locked in. Good play.
yeah,
Take that.
kind of cooked.
Right mindsets. You're going to hit one next week. All right, we take that. We move. We got Mayor 6 coming in hot with a subby 12 months. Sure, Mayor 6. Happy 1 year. Love to see it. We got a hype train, folks. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it grooving. All right.
You know what else? You know what else to talk about from this list?
Mm.
I know he wasn't great because he threw a couple of very bad throws, but he also had some great ones. And the run game was so much better with him in, which I think is the vital part. How about the Falcons and Desmond Ridder? I'm not gonna act like he lit the world on fire, but when they run the ball with him in there, having his legs as a viable RPO option or just read option is the difference. That was a massive game for the division. So the Falcons are going to win that division, and Derek Carr absolutely sucks at what he gets paid to do.
Watching Derek Carr throw a pick 6 and then go to the sidelines and stay hyped and be like, yeah, we got it. I'm good. I'm like, dude, I don't know how you keep yourself positive. It's impressive at this point. So you are one of the worst QBs in the league, and I'm surprised that they haven't given you the Carson Wentz treatment and kicked you out for a couple of years. They just sit and wait and try out, for other teams in 7 different uniforms. I don't get it. How does Derek Carr keep getting the ball? That guy sucks at QB. He's not a winner. He continuously throws picks in bad spots. I mean, just watch the game last night. Derek Carr's not that guy. You might as well have Winston out there. What's the difference? Maybe it'll help. Not going to hurt.
Should.
It's not going to hurt.
When Jameis came in, he still had, to be honest, he's made just as many mistakes as Derek Carr, because you talk about Jameis throwing ridiculous couple picks to throws that should never be made. What's Derek Carr doing? He's doing the same shit. So at least you have the upside with Jameis, and he made Chris Olave, and really everybody looked so much better when he came in. It's like, I don't know what they're doing at this point. Keep starting Derek Carr, please.
Yeah, I don't understand it. The Yeti Express 2 coming in with a subby, giving it out to the community. You love to see it, Yeti. W's, my man. We got Rye 36 coming in with a sub bang. We got Chiote coming in with a subby. Hey, Krabs, it's Bears ML. You can go ahead and lick me. Chiote, no lick needed, my man. I'll be on the Bears with you tonight. W's. We've got Kitch Picks coming in hot with a subby. 17 months. Love to fucking see it. Chat, vibes are up on this Monday. Okay, love to see it. NFL, Javon absolutely wiped the floor and took his bookies' lunch money this weekend. Holy smokes. Let's hit some winners today. We've both got 3 best bets that we like, Javon. We're going to keep going over some of these recaps. We're going to do the Hail Mary and 5 guys, but let's not forget the most important part of the day today, the squad ride, the best bets, finding winners for tonight, chat. Where else are you going to go and find a show on every day to dive in and find you winners on today's slates for an hour and a half? Okay, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it grooving. Let's go over the Hail Mary lay and the 5 guys entry. Pretty beat. Jackson State costing us coins here. Was that the only one that cost us? The Bills
we had a push with the Bills, so not completely.
I'll be honest, Javon. I was doing I got invited to some sort of wedding party thing on Saturday, so I wasn't watching the Jackson State game originally. I texted you because I got an alert on my phone saying Jacksonville State had a crazy comeback, Javon, and they won the game. And I go, oh my God, they did it. And you go, Krabs, what are you talking about, dude? They fucking lost. They got kicked off for an out. And I go check another app, and there was a different score on there. So I'm not going to do any corp-free ads on the app that I was using. But, Javon, I got bamboozled by myself on Saturday, and then I had to take a seat for about 30 minutes. I don't think I spoke to anybody after I saw that. Jacksonville State, what the fuck are we doing? The one time I take these boys, when they move from +3 to -3, they fold. And then I get fucking fake banged on my phone when I see that they have a crazy comeback, and then I check and look, and they lost. Unbelievable heartbreak, Javon. I mean, you're probably like, what the fuck is he talking about? But I sent you the screenshot, man.
Yeah.
You saw the score.
I know. I saw it. And I looked on Twitter because I think a lot of other people had the same issue with a couple different apps that were fake banging Jacksonville State. So it made sense after a little bit. I also wasn't watching the game, but I tuned in once I saw the score tied, and I saw literally the only play that I saw was the walk-off field goal. So when you texted me that, I was super confused.
Mm-hmm. Yep, as was I. And then I was heartbroken. It is what it is, Javon. It is what it is. We moved. That was this weekend. All we care about is today. Let's look at the NFL playoff picture real quick. We've got, 2/3 of the season down, Javon. We're getting there. Little look ahead at the playoff bracket here. I mean, the Ravens last night proved that they're one of the best teams in the NFL still. The Eagles, I don't know how they keep getting away with it, but they do. 59-yard field goal, sure. Crazy comeback. Bills melt. The refs are wearing Kelly Greens as well with the Eagles. A whole lot of things, a whole lot of factors. But at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts, once again, found a way to win the game. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't how he did it last year, where he looked like the most unstoppable force in the NFL. He still does not look like that force, but they're winning games. And at the end of the day, he made plays that they needed to for them to win, and he ran the ball in for a touchdown to win the game and seal it for the Eagles. So I'm going to keep my lips sealed. I can't really chirp the Eagles or Jalen Hurts for Javon 6.5 days. I can't chirp him, right?
Yeah.
When is that Sunday game against the 49ers? Is that Sunday Night Football? Is that Monday? Is that
I think it's Sunday. I think it's Sunday. I don't know if it's prime time, but yeah, that would be interesting.
It should be.
It's a 4:30 game, I think.
Okay.
4:30 right. Eagles at plus money in Philly. Huh.
Yeah. But the Eagles are home and they win every game. And Jalen Hurts is the MVP. Well, you know what, chat? I hate to say it, but I guess as of right now, just by looking at the fucking standings, sure, Jalen Hurts deserves the MVP. But if you actually fucking watch how he played and look at how they played, over the last 2 seasons, you would understand and know ball that they don't look like the same team from last season. Maybe they have a better record. Maybe they've gotten lucky. Maybe they have the Viking syndrome where they've just gotten everything to go their way right now, or the opposite of the Vikings. It's impressive. It really is, Javon. At this point, we just have to tip our cap, but they can't keep getting away with it. And they won't this Sunday against the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, right? We'll see. I'm definitely going to bet the 49ers, but I would love for the Eagles to just win out and continue this streak into the playoffs because I want them to find their fate once we play some real games here, meaningful games in January.
And I think we're going to the Eagles-Cowboys game in 2 weeks, I believe. It's December 10th.
That could be a massive game.
Yeah, that could be a massive game. Might not be as massive when the Eagles are 9-2 entering into that game, but
it's still big regardless. The division, the division's right there. Even though the Cowboys will realistically probably slip up one of the games after that, but we'll see. It'll be a cool game.
Okay. Any other teams that deserve shout-outs here? I mean, the Jags are cooking. They're still finding ways to win, but I'm not really impressed with them, and I'm looking forward to fading them in the playoffs. The Browns are low-key somehow still in this playoff picture. That's kind of hilarious. I mean, the AFC North is just absolutely loaded. The Steelers also in there, too, with the wild card, Javon, and then you get the Ravens, who are the legit team from that conference. Thoughts on the Ravens after watching them last night? I know their offense did not look elite for the majority of the game, but they had big plays and when they needed them the most, and they got a big-time win. Javon, that was a really tough spot for the Ravens, who were coming in off a long week and then also have a bye week the following week. They only had one game in like a 2.5-week window. Hard for these guys to stay focused in the middle of the season when you're traveling out to play a crummy team like the Chargers when you're having a good season like the Ravens, and they did. So I tipped my cap. Shitty bet on the Chargers last night. Got to stop betting on Coach Staley. He is moose shit. I cannot believe he still has his job at this point. I can't believe it.
I don't want to say that I'm not sold on the Ravens, but I think we've yet to see a game that Lamar Jackson has had to win. It's like that's my concern since like early in the season. It's like when they've been on this incredible run, it's been the run game. It's been games like last night where the Chargers, you had a Keenan Allen fumble, you had an Austin Eckler fumble, giving good field position, and then what do you know? They get points off of those turnovers and off of those drives. So like until I see that in a big game, I'm not going to be fully convinced. And with that said, though, they can play themselves into a very favorable matchup playoff-wise. But I can't say I'm like, if I'm an AFC team that's going to face them out of the possible matchups right now, I'm not petrified. Well,
we know how it goes when this Ravens team gets in the playoffs, and we might need a little Goots pulse check on this because we know he's a big Ravens fan, but we know how it goes when the Ravens get in the playoffs. Typically, Lamar has not, played his best, and they've struggled and they lose, right? But I don't know if it's more concerning or a good thing that we're at this point in the season. The Ravens have the record that they do, and they still have not had to rely on Lamar Jackson. I think that's impressive as shit, to be honest with you. And I think that defense is very underrated. I think some of these weapons, like Zay Flowers, continue to get better. These young guys, they have a lot of weapons, a lot of receivers. Odell Beckham has even showed up. I never expected that. I thought he was going to be useless. Even he, does something on the field every once in a while for the Ravens. So they're very well coached. They have the QB. He might not be playing like the QB or playing like an MVP yet, but he's close. He hasn't had to really go in there and win them a game yet because their defense has been so fucking good and their run game is the best in football. They just haven't needed Lamar to be Lamar yet at that point. Now, what scares me, Javon, is that this team, when they need Lamar to be Lamar in the playoffs, he hasn't done it yet. And this is when I need to rely on Goots. Is it going to be different this year?
No,
is it more of a play calling issue?
You're absolutely right. Like I'm obviously going to be convinced that this team is going to be good, obviously, but I think in the playoffs, definitely a lot of Ravens fans are going to have that thought in the back of their head for sure. Like, and I do think what you're saying is good that like we have other weapons that are taking over the game, specifically the defense. But I do think in the playoffs, there's going to be a point where Lamar has to show that he can do it. And
Lamar's going to have to win them
until I see it
in the playoffs.
Yeah, until I see it, like I'm still going to be concerned in some ways for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's like
I love the Sellies from Flowers, though. Side note. Love the Sellies.
Lamar hated that
everything.
Shit, yeah.
Of course he did. But there's like, I don't know. There's a lot of talk about a couple teams. Like I guess the Cowboys are the first one that comes to mind. People talk about them not playing anybody. The Ravens haven't played a very tough schedule since they've got on this run. Like the one game that I guess you could say was a pretty tough game in retrospect was the Browns when they had a healthy Deshaun Watson and they blew that game. But other than that, I mean, they played the Cardinals, they played the Bengals without Burrow for a majority of the game. They played the Chargers, who played the absolute worst game possible, made every mistake in the book, and they still couldn't pull away from that game. They played the Seahawks on the road with some injuries on that side too. It's just, I don't know. I need to see a game that is close down the stretch, which we'll have that chance probably with, I think they play the Jags and the Niners.
The Jags and the Niners.
Yeah.
And then we got the best running back in the league, Kyron Williams, apparently. So,
Yeah. I mean, you gotta prove it. And they'll have a chance to.
Yeah.
Okay. The Ravens still have some proving to do, but they've done their fucking jobs up to this point. Got to tip the cap. Any other teams, any other players you guys wanted to shout out?
I want to tip the cap to John Harbaugh real quick because he could have taken that bye week after London, but he decided to wait to get a little late bye week action, and that really worked out well for us.
Yeah, they did. That's
typical
hard.
Harbaugh W. Shock.
Harbaugh.
I give my left nut to have him beat the coach of my team. Goots, get out of here. We got other games to talk about. W's. Goots, I would love to be a Ravens fan. If only I was born there and could root for them and then had to be contrarian and pick the fucking DC teams that suck. Cannot make it up, folks. Javon. We've got a new segment we're doing this week, my man. You want to fill the people in on what we got cooking?
Yeah, we're doing a little king of the board, which is we're going to pick one bet, each of us, or not one bet, 5 bets. We can use whichever throughout the course of the week, Monday through Friday, and we're going to go head to head in a little competition. And we'll have a post up on Twitter. We're talking about it here too, where you guys get to pick who you're riding with for the week, and you get to decide that at the beginning of the week, kind of before we set our plays and everything. It's just like you're picking a team like we did with the Prize Picks competition. So the winner of that, we'll pick a winner from the people who rode with our teams, and we'll dish out a little free Prize Picks entry for you guys here. So we'll be picking our best donks of the week and entering them into the contest. I don't know that I have any that we'll do today that I feel all that convinced about, but I know you might.
Yeah, I got to play on mine. We'll talk about it. I'll see if I cash in my first king of the board play of the week, Javon. Chat. So how we'll do this is typically on Monday mornings, we'll tweet out, who are you voting for? Whose team are you on this week for the king of the boards, Team Javon, Team Krabs, whatever. And then you'll comment either Javon or Krabs in the mentions or like a crab and a milk emoji, whatever the fucking tweet says to do. And that way we'll be able to go back to that after we see, me win and what the floor with Javon on Fridays on the afternoons. And we go back and see who tweeted under that, and we pick who picked the right team, and we give you guys free Prize Picks promo. It really is that simple. You guys want more free Prize Picks promo? This is how we're going to do it. Okay, so get involved, pick the right teams. We're going to do it a little differently today, Javon, because we're going to give the people a rundown on how it works. We'll let them pick after BTL today. Goots will send out a fire tweet getting this going in the afternoon. Give them a little bit of a head start. Maybe I'll have a pick today. Maybe I won't. We'll give the people a head start. But Javon, very excited to go head to head with you throughout the coming weeks. All right, Let's see who's the king of the board. Who's the king of the BTL hosts? All right, chat. Let's see who can get hot. This could be exactly what the doctor ordered. All right.
Good bet.
Javon all day, Crabs is moose. Sure. Javon minus 225. Yep.
I did see.
Crabs might be the ugliest color I've ever seen. What, this jacket? Oh, you mean the one I got at the Super Bowl? Sure. Check this puppy out.
The Brotherly Super Bowl.
The Brotherly Super Bowl. Sure.
Straight out of Phoenix.
Yeah, I got my pimp jacket on, Chad. I'm not fucking around today. Not fucking around today. I got the pimp jacket on.
So it seemed like the squares. Squares are definitely on me this week. It's seeming like.
Yeah, I got life. This could be exactly what I need, Javon.
People forget. I mean, even if you really just want to flip a coin and pick the comments, if a lot of people are going to be on me, that definitely lowers your chance for a free entry. So you might just want to be contrarian for the sake of it at this point.
Yep. Well, after my Chargers +3 pick last night, I wouldn't blame the people for not wanting to ride with me this week. Okay. W's king of the board, sure. And he's back.
Anyway, just
get back up here.
Said nothing.
Get back up here. He's gone.
He's just gone.
He didn't even say an English word. He just said gibberish and then left.
Yeah, he was muted. Didn't even say anything. Unreal.
Okay. I'm assuming he was chirping about the Ravens play, as he should. All right, Javon, you want to dive into some college basketball plays? We got some games today. We got a couple.
We do. Yeah, let's do it.
I've got my eye on a few, so we can start scrolling here. Any games we like, goods, we can have you stop and we'll talk about them. I'm sure it's hell not betting any of these early games. Javon, any leans on these 4 nasty college basketball games to start the day off?
I definitely do. I mean, I like Xavier a little bit. It's kind of trying to figure out a place to fade Oakland because they've been the greatest team of all time, ATS, to start the season, and it's been against, for the most part, like pretty solid teams, like up against Ohio State, who shout out them for destroying Alabama. Everybody thought that was the freest play on the board, but played them, played Drake, played Marshall, solid teams. Illinois too, on the road a couple of those games. So like they've been decent against decent teams, and Xavier, this kind of feels like the spot to fade them with a little bit of the steam here in the matchup a little bit too. So like this line moving to Xavier, I think is pretty telling against a 6-0 ATS team. So I definitely lean them in that game. I don't know about you.
Good to see Oakland starting to cover as soon as I stopped betting on these fuckers. Nice. I bet on them every game last 2 years. They never covered. And they were always sharp, always favorites against good teams. Never made sense. And now they're not. And now they win and cover. Okay. Yeah, I hate the team. I would love to spike fade them today. Give me Xavier. 4. I'm in. Presbyterian Elon, game of the day today. Anything there?
Yeah, nothing there. I do want to ask you about this other one that's on the screen, though, too. Fordham is looking rather interesting, especially with the move that's on that game. Like 10.5 to 12.5-ish some places.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know Fordham. I wouldn't let the records fool you here. Fordham is a better squad than Manhattan. I'm sure if I looked up the KenPom right now, Fordham would be ahead of Manhattan, right? So Manhattan stinks. Now, Manhattan has beaten Fordham the last 2 times they played them, which is kind of funny and interesting. And Fordham, I mean, coming off of 2 absolutely new shit games. I mean, they dropped a 45 burger against Abilene Christians 2 games ago. What the hell are we doing here, Fordham? That cannot be happening. The line moved from 10 to 12.5 at home with an already low total. I definitely lean the Rams. I don't know if I'm, ecstatic to bet them, but that is a fat spread.
Big spread
between 2 teams who are relatively on the same level. I'd still put Fordham ahead of them, but 12 points.
12 is fat. Rams? 12 is fat, especially like Manhattan. They're definitely not the better team, but they've played better against like comparable teams. Like their ATS losses on the year, just losses in general. Like they've been against Kansas where they got absolutely destroyed. I think there's one other team, UConn. They just came off a loss where they, I think, covered in that game because there's like 30-something point dogs, but they lost by 30. But then like otherwise, they played Bryant where they were double-digit dogs, won outright. Central Connecticut State, there were dogs in that game, won outright. So like they've been against non-blue blood teams like really, really good. And I still agree that Fordham is better. I think they match up pretty well too. But seeing 10 up to 12, I think is extremely telling. Probably the most telling line I think I see on the board.
I don't know how they're going to do it. They lost a lot of guys from last season. Their best player, Meador, is out there, the senior guard, the transfer from UTSA. He's pretty decent. He can score a little bit and hang. But besides that, Fordham doesn't have much this year, but this would be a line play. I'm with you. I'm definitely not betting fucking Manhattan. No
Well, you
chance.
know what, too? You know what Manhattan, outside of, I guess, the Bryant game, because they were 1 of 15 from 3 and scored 61 points. Like all the other games, they have relatively low 3-point volume, and they're not shooting like very poorly. I mean, a lot of these games are shooting 40+%. So in a game where I see a 133.5 total, and I think that Fordham can lean on their defense a little bit in this game too, makes you think maybe they just come out and they are shooting horrendously for the first time really since game 1 of the season.
Okay. All right. And we saw the true colors of Manhattan in that last game where they got obliterated by UConn, but they still somehow covered at plus 35. So, all right. Lay with the Fordham Rams here at home. Good that total's low and coming down for the Rams to lean on their defense. Okay.
Yep.
Any St. Peter's Rutgers action?
Yeah, probably not. I mean,
The only thing I noticed was that over moving up. A little surprised to see that. Very rarely do you ever see a St. Peter's total move up, especially with Rutgers involved, who also doesn't score much and leans on their defense too. Wouldn't mind the over. Gun to my head.
They have been scoring a little bit lately, which is what kept me off. I saw the same thing, kept me off of that one because they did just drop 85 on Howard and I guess 71 on Georgetown. Both of those games, I'm pretty sure, went over by a pretty decent margin. So kind of off of that, but I don't know. That total moving up still with, I know, Rutgers moving up spread-wise too is interesting. I don't want to lay it with them, though. Can't.
Rutgers 1-4 to the over. That Georgetown game did sneak under, barely, by 2 points. Gun to my head, I'm taking the over in this game. It's probably going to be Rutgers in the paint winning this game against St. Peter's, who really has no bodies left from that magical run 2 years ago. This St. Peter's team is that bad at this point. I was a little bit surprised to see that spread at 15.5. But again, the St. Peter's legacy lives on, and I will happily stay off of spreads like that. I'm not taking a bait on Rutgers or St. Pete's in this spot. Gun to my head, I'll take the over. All right?
Yeah. What do you – I mean, just out of curiosity, what would you compare St. Peter's to Howard with? Or how close do you think that matchup would be?
I'd say Howard's better.
Say they're better?
Than St. Peter's. Yeah.
I guess that would make a little bit of sense then. Because this is, I mean, it's a fatter line than it was in that game that Rutgers won by 22 and covered because there were 15 points.
It should be. That one. It should be.
Fair enough.
It should be. That Howard team is old and pretty good, to be honest with you. They might not be in as good of a conference as the MEAC with the Peacocks, but I would say if Howard played St. Peter's right now, they beat them 6 or 7 times out of 10.
Fair enough.
All right. UMBC Hampton. Don't get too excited. I know that's a big one today. Any plays?
Not really. I mean, that would be probably the
I just
massive.
Want to fade UMBC.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to fade UMBC. It's just like that's such a game where I know how both of these teams play. So obviously the total doesn't not make sense. It's just so high with Hampton coming off of a game where they played a team of a very different style in San Jose State, and they dropped 52 points. And UMBC is going to push the tempo. They've done it all season. They're going to jack up nothing but threes. When you play a team like Maryland on the road, that's very obviously not going to work. But when they've played any other team that's going to let them shoot, and especially like relatively undersized teams, like a couple they've played so far, and Hampton can kind of fall into that category, like they're going to get theirs. So, I mean, we see 166, which is funny, but also makes sense. Both these teams can score. I would say it's just a square over here, if anything. But, I mean, Hampton's going to put up points, too. I think that spread continuing to creep up there, too, is interesting. I just don't want to go to the grave with that.
Yeah, lean Hampton. I think that UMBC Golden Retrievers team is really that bad, but I'm not betting it. Let's talk about a game that I am. Javon, I just crafted the most surgical fucking goblin of all time.
Oh, here
done
it is.
Messing around.
Here it is.
Just going to dwell on yesterday's losses? Nah, we get in the lap. Josh Dobbs less than a pick. Well, it already
I'm off. I'm already off.
I'm already Joseph, I like that one. That could play. Justin Fields, more than rush attempts. Okay. DJ Moore, more than 5 catches. All right. Okay. I mean, I like the Bears today, and if they're going to cover, it's going to have to be DJ Moore. So that's a square angle. I'm not going to say I hate Justin Fields. Get your fucking legs loose, buddy. We're going to need him today. All right. He's rushing 10 times. I like his yards better, I think, than his attempts, but that's okay. I do think he'll break one today. The only one I don't really care for is the pick square. All right. Javon hates it, lol. Good. I need Faye God on opposite side.
Texans, right?
Oof.
Shit.
Bears aren't winning. They don't got to win, Fat Girls Inc. They just got to cover, my man. They just got to cover. Let's talk about Troy and Eastern Kentucky. This might be the game of the day, at least for me. I'm liking a play in this game, Javon. I want to lay it with Eastern Kentucky in a bounce-back spot here to get some revenge after two horrid losses to Prairie View, where they were minus 11.5 and they lost outright by 12. Disgusting. And then they were minus 8 to UT Monroe, Javon, and they fucking lost that game outright too by 6. This Eastern Kentucky team got punched in the mouth over Thanksgiving break. They're going to bounce back, and their tempo is going to be too quick for the Troy Trojans. I love that I'm seeing that total move up. I love that I'm seeing Eastern Kentucky move from 5 to 6 on most books. I'll tell you what, Eastern Kentucky, this team likes to run, push the tempo, make their opponents uncomfortable. And Troy, who is not a team that likes to run too much, I think they're going to be a little too uncomfortable today and not be able to keep up and hang with Eastern Kentucky. I also love that Troy's coming off a big-time win where they put up an 80-burger against Grambling. That's an anomaly. I would be shocked if I see this team do that again, especially against Eastern Kentucky when they're making them run and tiring them out. So I'm going to roll with Cozart and Blanton, two good big forwards on Eastern Kentucky, and these guards to push the tempo and bounce back here in this spot for the Colonials and get a win by 10+. Fade Troy. Give me Eastern Kentucky here in this spot. They get a big-time win.
Yeah, I mean, I like it here too. In chat, talking about the pace. There's going to be pace in this game. That's how both these teams play. And there's probably going to be a good bit of going to the free throw line, which on paper, I guess, wouldn't look good for Eastern Kentucky. I was looking at like Prairie View game. They shot 11 of 26 from the free throw line, which is abysmal. And it hasn't really been much better than that for the entirety of the season. So if there's any situation where they're going to get a good amount of opportunity to kind of fix that, it's probably this game against Troy here. So I kind of want to lean into that, but fading or backing teams off of a Prairie View win has been randomly profitable. I mean, I did that. I think the first time maybe I did that was with Abilene Christian after they lost that game outright against Prairie View and came back the next game, won. UT Martin, who was dog shit, did the same exact thing. They lost them by double digits, came back, won. Super weird, like double OT game, and now you get Eastern Kentucky. So maybe a little random trend here. Prairie View has been hot. That's a conversation for another day. But Eastern Kentucky, I think this is a prime bounce back spot for them. Don't let Prairie View get hot. Did not think I'd be hearing those words today. Also worth bringing up, somebody in chat was talking about FAU and the Owls and how good they are. I wanted to bring this up before I forget. Yes, they are very good, and they're extremely well coached. That's why they just paid their coach $1 bazillion to stay there and continue to build that program up. Yeah, the FAU Owls are still good. They're impressive. They just absolutely skull-fucked my Hokies yesterday, who literally didn't hit a three-pointer, I think, the entire game. Javon, they had the worst shooting performance I've ever seen in my entire life. It was disgusting. Typical Hokies melt. But yeah, FAU is legit. They are back. Guys, they have pretty much everybody back from last season. What's going to be different? Not saying they're going to make another Final Four run. They won't. But yeah, that team is good. They should be ranked. They're a top 25 team in the country. I agree. Yeah. I don't know if they're top 10, Devin. Yeah, top 10. If you could teleport so far. If you could put their big-ass 7'2" center in a time machine and fast forward him 2 years to as a senior, Vlad, I would say that they could be a top 10 team in the country. He's just too inexperienced. He gets bitched around too much in the paint by thick centers who are not as tall as him, but they just body him around because he's a toothpick. Yeah, right. It's kind of soft. Got to add some Al base. What's up, Chad? I believe in Janelle. Yeah, he's a beast. That team's good. They're a top 25 team, not top 10, but top 25 in my opinion. All right, Javon, let's keep powering through this college basketball slate. Okay, let's see what we're working with over here. New Hampshire, UConn, anything there? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on that one. All right, let's keep scrolling down. Any opinions on NIU and Northwestern? If we could find that game up here on the board, Javon. NIU, do not let them get hot. They're 5-1. They're undefeated against the spread this season, and they're going against a Northwestern team that just got their lunch money taken by Mississippi State and has had about a week, a little bit over a week to think about that one, Javon. You think Northwestern bounces back here in this spot against NIU? Yeah, I mean, this is a game, I guess, like name-wise, it's a little different. It's like if you saw Northwestern versus NIU with a fat spread like this, you wouldn't think too much of it. Because Northwestern is a good team. That's a team that I probably want to buy a little bit going forward, especially in a Big Ten conference where the bottom of that conference is frankly awful. So I will gladly buy them for the rest of the season. And NIU seems like a pretty decent time to sell them the way they've been playing throughout this entire season, winning as dogs multiple times outright, undefeated against the spread, like you mentioned. And this Northwestern team is kind of deep, surprisingly. So like against the relatively thin NIU team, I don't know if they have the depth to hang with them when you get around like the late second half. Northwestern, I will gladly say that this move up to 13 means quite a bit much too.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I kind of want to take Northwestern here, Javon, and lay it after they've had about a week to think about that loss. That Northwestern team, very deep, like you said. NIU off to a crazy hot start. It is a weird game, though. I know it's up there in Illinois. Not going to be a home game for Northern Illinois. It is for Northwestern, but should be some fans there from both sides. Not necessarily a rivalry game, but this is probably the biggest game circled on NIU's calendar this season. So that always scares me, fading a team in that spot. But if that spread keeps moving up and Northwestern touches a 14 or 15, I'm going to have no choice because they made from 10 to 13 and a half already.
I mean, I think if you don't want to go to the counter with Northwestern, I think the under's a pretty solid way to back Northwestern without backing them, seeing as – I mean, NIU, their offense has been ridiculous this season, and a lot of it's been with three-point shooting. Like, if you look at their games, there's 4 or 5 out of their games so far. They've shot 45+% from three or something near that. It's like that's not going to happen against a Northwestern team that's bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic, going to make life much tougher for a lot of those shooters in NIU. And they're coming off of, like, they played DePaul over the past weekend, put up 90 points, Little Rock 98. Really, I mean, they've put up 90 pieces against all of the inferior opponents that they should put up points against, except for Georgia State. They put up 70. The one time they went to a slightly competent defensive team, it was Marquette, and they put up 70, which was honestly a pretty decent performance for the way that they're playing now. They got a cover there, too. So Northwestern is going to clamp them. That's a little bit low of a total, I would say. 142.5 down to 141.
Yeah, especially with how well NIU's been scoring the ball. I'm with you. That's a great sign for Northwestern as well. Might be Northwestern in the end in that game. I'm with you. We've got a Chase Breedlove 5-piece for the community. Let's fucking go, Chase. Let's go, Beast. W's. Hope you had a good holiday, my man. We've got MI23. Sure. Coming in with a subby, 3 months. Love to see it. We got Devin coming in, giving out a sub to the community. Love to fucking see that. What's up, Dev? How we doing, Beast? Chat, hype train has been achieved. All right, let's keep that thing fucking rolling. W, Chase. Hope the presentation went well, Chase. I saw you tweeting about it. Hope it went well, bro. That's criminal to have that on a Monday after Thanksgiving weekend. But I know you killed that, and I'm sure you're celebrating with some subbies. Sure. All right, let's finish up the slate, Javon, for college basketball. Couple more games. Your Horned Frogs play. Any opinions there? They're playing a wagon powerhouse, Houston Christian, once Houston Baptist.
Yeah, I'm definitely good off talking that game. It's just like I don't even know what to do with that game at that point. It's just like Houston Christian is so like they're gonna play very fast, which is why we see such a high total. And like on paper, you would think pretty easy over, pretty easy 100 spot for TCU, which I don't disagree with necessarily. But sometimes they play so sloppy that it's like to a detriment of the game. So like Mississippi Valley State did that for a little bit when they played TCU. So that's my concern there with why I don't want to get involved. But they're not holding TCU in the slightest. Just a question of if they can keep up.
You seem a little scared for this matchup with Houston Christian.
I mean, scared in the sense that TCU might win by 27 instead of 35 to cover. Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. This is their like tune-up game, which is why I want them to be on point before they go this weekend to DC and play Georgetown. They got a couple big matchups against Clemson and Arizona State. So I want them ready to go. I want to see them beat them by 50, but I'm not so convinced that'll happen.
Okay. All right. Did TCU lose a bye game last year at the beginning of the season? I remember there being a sketchy game early on. I don't know if you guys lost it. I don't know if – yeah?
Yeah.
Who? You remember?
I think that was Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Oh, that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah, it was without Mike
Uh-huh.
Miles, I think, for that part of the year, and they were awful. They had a stretch at the beginning of the season where they beat everybody, every like inferior opponent by like a possession, and it was so difficult to watch.
Mm.
So I'm glad they're
Well, let's
not
hope
doing
they're
that
done with
this year.
that.
Yeah, I'm glad they're not doing that this year. So I can't really
Okay.
complain, but yeah,
All right.
that was gross. Thanks
Speaking
for
of the
bringing that
Pine
one
Bluff
up.
boys, they're playing today. They're playing Arkansas Baptist. Any leans in that one? Little D2 action or FCS action?
FCS action. No, I'm good. I'm good there.
Talk about the Gauchos and talk about Fresno State. One of the better games of the late nights, Javon. What are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, I like Fresno State in this game. This is a pretty big, I guess, buy low spot on the initial for Fresno State, coming off of an absolute thrashing where, I mean, they were the sharp side somewhat against James Madison, like every single team who plays JMU is, and they got 30 pieces. It wasn't really even close. They were in Cancun, probably should have stayed there at that point. But now they're coming back home playing a Santa Barbara team that's been pretty decent, I guess you can argue, to start the year. They're a good team. It's just they've had a kind of a rotating personnel situation. They had a game or two without AJ Mitchell and a couple of the other pieces around them. So it's hard to kind of get a firm read on this team. But the one thing you can say is AJ Mitchell is everything for that offense. So for a Fresno State team who not only do they have the bodies to kind of defend the whole floor, they're going to throw a whole bunch of different looks on AJ Mitchell, and they have a bunch of defenders that can kind of play that role with size and athleticism. So not saying they're going to stop AJ Mitchell and just kind of absolutely shut him down, but if they can limit his effectiveness, I don't think the rest of that roster is going to beat Fresno State the way that they defend. And it's not to say that their offense has been great to start the year. It's not really what you're buying on with Fresno State, especially because I think the total here with how good Santa Barbara's offense has been is also a tad low. I think that's pretty indicative of what to expect from Fresno State defensively in the game. So, I think this is a perfect spot to buy Fresno State after how atrocious, frankly, they've looked to start this year.
Okay. Yeah, Fresno could not look worse. And I actually watched the end of that JMU and Fresno game, or watched the majority of that game. It was bad. It was disgusting. It was an absolute blowout. It was a shit show. The game before that, though, I bet on Fresno live, and I watched the end of that game. They showed a ton of heart. They clamped in. They played that good Fresno defense, at least in the last 2 minutes of regulation, then an OT against New Mexico to secure that late win and come back. Guys, this Fresno team, they're not going to beat you with offense ever. Okay, and this is one of the worst rosters that Coach Hudson has had to orchestrate, I guess you could call it, at Fresno since he's been there for the last 6 or 7 years. This probably is his worst roster he's had. A lot of rebuilds, a couple guys leaving, and this team wins with their defensive minds. Like you mentioned, Javon, the total being this low already and coming down is a great sign with the Gauchos, and then having been scoring recently. And it's not like the Gauchos have been elite. I mean, they couldn't even cover against Lemoyne. They pushed. So if they can't even cover against Lemoyne, what are we worried about? I like the spot for Fresno. You are ballsier than me in this game. I'm going with the under instead because I'm banking on Fresno's defense. I think they do clamp up UCSB, and I agree with everything you said. I like the way it's moving down. I also know that Fresno does not have a guy this season. They don't have a guy. I don't know if you watched them, Javon, but they are fucking bad on offense.
Yeah,
They're young.
I guess Isaiah Hill, if anybody. That's really the only guy they can go to in a situation. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to watch, and I bet you by the end of the season they will have a guy. I bet you they will. That's what Coach Hudson does. He develops, he works. These guys will get better, and their defense is only going to get better as the season continues as well. And I saw enough out of them against New Mexico State in that game where they needed it to clamp in against a opponent who's relatively same level as them, and they did, and they got a big-time win. This team is extremely well coached. They play great defense. I think they clamp up the Gauchos today, too. I don't even care that line moved back down from 3.5 to 1, and now I'm seeing some 1.5s floating up again, too. So maybe we'll start to get some steam towards Fresno State now, Javon. Would love to see that.
Yeah. I mean, I love that they have, I think, an answer for everything that UCSB can do. Because, when you don't have any perimeter option, and I'm not saying AJ Mitchell is going to be completely absent, but they can throw Dussel on him, but they also can bring Calamero off the bench, who is a really good defender, to hold him if something's not working. And then inside, if Traore, and I forget the other guy's name, is absolutely feasting, I mean, guess what? They have Boyake in there, who is an absolute beast, and they also have Andre, who can, I don't know, he stretches the floor a little bit sometimes, not that he plays on the perimeter, but he's athletic enough to do whatever he wants. So I mean, they have the size inside there. It's like this is like perfect situation for Fresno's defense, in my opinion.
Yep, especially after giving up a 90 burger to one of the best mid-major teams, if not the best mid-major team in the country. No shit, they give up a 90 burger. It's JMU. They're fucking they're hung this year. I don't know what it is, but they're just different. Javon, they're just literally destroying everybody, and they're the best mid-major team. They're unbelievable. Yeah, Fresno in the under. All right. Eastern Washington, Wazoo. Anything there?
Kind of want to buy Eastern Washington because I don't know if you've kept up with that team a little bit, but they're kind of pulling. I forget who used to do this. I know Mississippi Valley State, I mean, does this at some point, but they just play like the toughest teams in the non-conference for really God knows what reasons. Like you look at the record, they're 1-4. They've been pretty pitiful ATS, but they went on the road, played Utah, Ole Miss, Cincinnati, Stanford, really to start their season, and those are the D1 games they've played. So it's not like they've had a real slate of easy games, and it's not to say that Washington State is that, but offensively, it's definitely the team that I trust the least out of many of those teams. And Eastern Washington, I don't know, they can hang on the perimeter with Washington State, I think, scoring with them. So I think this is a decent spot where Eastern Washington can hang close and keep this game, within 5 to 6 points. So, I mean, I would love taking a stab at them.
The only thing that keeps me off of Eastern Washington here is their success in this series in years past. Like they literally beat Wazoo last year outright.
Yeah.
And they beat them 2 of the last 3 years. Like Wazoo knows they're coming.
Yeah,
Wazoo is ready for this one. And they are probably ready to get some revenge, to be honest with you, after getting embarrassed last season. But I love that spread coming down from 15 to 12.5. And like you said, not a lot of teams have a tougher strength of schedule right now than Eastern Washington. Didn't think I'd be saying that, but it's true. They played some really good teams to start the season. Don't really know why. Probably some bye games, probably some money involved there, but grab the points with Eastern Washington. I wouldn't nuke it because Wazoo probably has some memories that they don't love that they'd love to get some revenge on, but I'm with you. Take the points. I lean there. What about Utah and St. Mary's? Javon, a lot of people talking about this game. 11 p.m. Eastern. All right, late night take me home piece, if you will. Utah has been good up until their last 2 games where they did not cover against Houston. They almost did. They got hooked. They hung in there though and played good defense. And then St. John's, when they were laying 5 to them, which was a head scratcher, and I don't really understand why, they lost by 9 to St. John's, and we saw their first good game of the season. So some bad luck there for Utah. You look over what St. Mary's has done this year. I mean, absolutely embarrassing performances against Weber State losing outright, San Diego State, where they got motherfucked, and then Xavier, where they also lost by almost 20. Giovanni was ugly there for St. Mary's. Luckily, they got a chance to absolutely smack Davidson. St. Mary's, shout out, getting the job done there against the worst fucking program in college basketball. Get an 89-55 win at Davidson or against Davidson, Javon. So maybe St. Mary's gained some confidence back in that last contest. Maybe they started to figure something out. Both these teams, though, off to weird starts. Both these teams had higher expectations than their records show right now. What do we do? Also, worth noting that total's moving up. I can't tell you the last time I've seen St. Mary's total move up.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it should. I guess leaning towards more the Utah side there with the total move up, but I don't know. I've gone back and forth between this game because, to be honest with you, as good as Houston's defense is, and I mean, we saw Utah play really well against that defense. A lot of it was really just Gabe Madsen shooting like he was prime Steph from the field, but I think St. Mary's defense is a much tougher matchup than Houston's defense presented to them, especially when you're talking about Gabe Madsen, who, like I said, he shot the lights out in that game. That was because they had Jamal Shed on him for a majority of the game, who is 6'6'1", and there's a very obvious size advantage there. Now you're going to see much bigger defenders on him and much bigger throughout the floor. And one of the ways that Utah has been really successful here is they're two bigs, Lovering and Carlson. And Carlson's going to stretch the floor because he's been like their Swiss Army knife. I really don't know why they played two bigs because realistically Carlson should play a stretch 5, and that would be a bigger advantage there for them. But aside from that, like that almost helps St. Mary's because one of the big issues with St. Mary's every time you think they're in a really good defensive matchup, Mitchell Saxon gets into foul trouble and has 3 fouls in literally 2 minutes. So now the main offensive option, he doesn't really have to guard nearly as much, and it's going to be more a cast of guys, I would think, for St. Mary's. I mean, they have a handful of guys who they can put on them and say, you're going to be a really good defender. I mean, they're going to switch Alex Dukas on him, I think, for some point. Then you're probably going to have Jefferson play on him for a little bit too, which, again, very tall guy, is probably the toughest matchup defensively I've faced all season. So they're slowing down Carlson. They're slowing down Madsen from behind the arc. And you have a cast of pretty solid defenders around them. I don't know how Utah scores consistently in this game.
Yeah, if Mitchell Saxon gets in any sort of foul trouble, they're probably fucked. But if he doesn't, I think they win this game easily. It's going to be tough going against those two bigs down there in Utah, Javon, but St. Mary's is a program, a team that I still want to buy low on at this point in the season, and I thought that 5 opener was pretty fucking hilarious after how bad they played early on this season, but maybe it's just Ken Palm slurping. It could be. We know they love the St. Mary's gals. Just a weird matchup. I feel like Mahaney has been inconsistent this season, and he's got Rolly Worcester going against him. So that's going to be a pretty interesting matchup there. And then the bigs as well, with Carlson there, and Utah's got another big that they use who's like 7 feet, who starts. I think they start 2 7 foot.
Lovering, which is that's kind of the problem. That's kind of the problem for me here, because like, if you're going to Carlson can play on the perimeter, which is fine. Like, he's going to have to, because if you're clogging the paint against St. Mary's, you're not scoring. Like, that's not going to be how you win in this game, which is, I don't know. It's questionable for me in this game. Plus, like, I can't help looking at that total after, I don't want to say they played like ridiculously well, but it opened at a lower number than they did against Houston, which makes it a little weird. And they put up, 66 points in that game. So it's not like they lit the world on fire, but they shot as good as any team has shot against Houston so far this season, realistically. So seeing that total open lower, I know it's on the road instead of neutral court, but it's really just putting my brain in a pretzel there.
So that makes you want to take the under, though, I guess.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't climb up any higher.
Okay. Yeah, maybe both these teams need to figure some shit out before we're dropping any nukes on them.
Yeah, I'm
Kyron, hope you had a good Thanksgiving, my man. Saw a couple W Thanksgiving wishes in here in chat. Appreciate it, boys. I know I definitely did, and appreciate you guys, as always, coming in here, talking bets, talking winners in chat. So hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving. Let's keep pushing, all right? Before we know it, there's going to be Christmas around the corner. But we've got some work to do before that point. All right, boys? Let's keep trucking. Javon, I think my favorite college basketball play today, after going through the entire slate, it's got to be Eastern Kentucky spread, I'd go with, or maybe that Fresno under. I'd say I like both those equally for 1U plays. No sneak nukes, just one unit to take the edge off on both those CBB plays. What about you?
Yeah, I'd say I'd have to go Fresno. I'm going to be on Eastern Kentucky with you too. I'll go Fresno, and then the more I look at that Fordham game, the more I want to go. I want to lay the points with Fordham. And to be honest with you, looking at the chat or talking about St. Mary's, probably the more I want to go with St. Mary's in that game too. But yeah, I'll keep an eye on that one for sure. I will not be even thinking about putting a unit on Houston or Utah.
Yeah. All right. We got Matt Lat 30 coming in hot. Boots on ground for Manders, Fins up. Sure, Matt. Sure. That'll be a fun game. A lot of points. We got Ref coming in, giving out his subby. What the fuck is up, Ref? Hope you had a good holiday, Beast. You seem locked in today. You seem dialed. W's. Good work today, gents. Let's keep pushing. Javon, we got a little less than 30 minutes. Might be time to pivot to some NFL Monday Night Football talk, huh?
Sure.
We've got the Bears and we've got the Vikings, chat. I want to know who you guys are betting today. Are you taking the Bears +3? Are you taking the Vikings -3? Where are we dropping, boys? I'm hearing people in chat saying parlay safaris on the Vikings. That surprised me. Do we know where Trent's coins reside yet, Javon? Have we discovered that?
If the first leg of his entry was Dobbs and not throw a pick, I would assume he's got to be liking the Vikings.
Mm-hmm. He did have some Bears love in there too, though. People forget. He had some Bears love.
He has to.
Yeah.
Go Will Slurp.
Chad, Bears or Vikes tonight? What is the play? Where are we dropping? And Trent needs to know. Explain why Dobbs is throwing a pick. Can you explain it to him?
Is he asking?
No?
Oh, please explain why
Yeah.
Dobbs is throwing a pick. I mean, it's not like I'll
Yeah,
be putting
he's
coin on
bugging.
him to throw a pick. I just can't say I love the under there.
And we can pull up the prize picks board as well. I'm going to get it loose right now.
Yeah, get it loose.
Okay.
Get it rocking.
I'm going to get it loose. All right. Chat, Bears or Vikings? What is the play? You got no reason for it. Damn.
I'm not taking this. I'm not taking this more than. I
Just
despise
hating for no
the less
reason.
than. I just despise the less than.
Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you why I don't like it. Because it looks too easy, Trent. That's the reason I'll give you. But I'm not going to sit up here and stick my coins on Josh Dobbs more than a pick because that guy doesn't care what's sharp and what's not. And we've seen that movie before with guys like Joe Burrow in the past when he was actually playing and doing well. Some guys just doesn't fucking matter what's sharp and what's not. And Josh Dobbs overall this season has been one of those dudes. So am I in a rush to bet him to throw a pick today? Fuck no. You know what I'd rather take? Josh Dobbs to throw less than 1.5 pass rush receiving touchdowns. That's what I'd rather fade and take and double dip on that. Took that last week. That was a terrible square. If anything, that's where I would fade Dobbs. I'm not going to fade him on the pick.
Yeah.
Pick six first drive, sure.
Those less than pick squares on prime time just have not been hitting. They have been soaring. Even like this one's not even particularly sharp to fade it, like some of them have been, but a majority of them have been soaring over. So I'm not getting cute with any less than pick squares really in prime time ever, unless it's screaming at me.
I do like that Dobbs less than 1.5 pass rush receiving tutties, though. I do. All right. Javon, before we dive into the prize picks, because I want to make sure we have plenty of time to talk about bets, talk about angles, what we like. Is it the under in the Bears? What are we feeling here in this game?
Definitely feeling the Bears. And I guess before we hop off of prize picks, while we're talking about those squares, I wouldn't mind taking some combination of, I don't know, fading Madison / backing Dobbs passing. Like, I guess pass attempts would be a smart play there because I was looking, I've seen a couple tweets talking about it this morning. If you look at the Bears the last handful of weeks, they've been a lot better against the run than I guess a lot of people realize or have given them credit for. So like in this matchup where Madison, I mean, he had a pretty solid game last week, I would argue, and a matchup that's, I mean, it was a much different one than this week. I mean, Denver has one of the most porous run defense in the NFL. I know their defense as a whole has gotten better over the last couple of weeks and they've been on this run here, but the run defense hasn't really improved to a point where it would impress many people. So it was a good matchup for him, and he was gashing them in the run game, which kind of controlled that game for them early on. Now, much tougher Bears run defense as of late. I don't think you're going to see that much success. So I think Dobbs is going to be able to or have to throw the ball a lot more. So if I guess you're talking about an angle for Dobbs to throw a pick that makes sense, that would probably be it. Because I mean, he's going to be in a lot more obvious passing situations than he's been really the last handful of weeks since he's been the Vikings starter. So I wouldn't mind backing anything that way. And I think the Bears defense is going to have a pretty solid game today too. So I would not mind backing the Bears. And I mean, crazy to say after the way the beginning of the season went, but backing their defense against this Vikings offense.
Okay. All right. I saw an interesting chat I wanted to pick up here besides this one. Last time I had a Vikings under pick on prize picks, I had a 10K format. Okay. Well, then what are you listening to us for, Trent? You're locked in.
Yeah, let's take it then.
Stay dialed, stay confident. God, there was another one that I wanted to show. Shit.
Are we talking prize pick squares?
I was talking about, where is it? The tanking. There's a tanking comment here in chat. Here we go.
This one.
Bears are going to tank this game and the rest of the year. So I want to talk through this because, yes, the Bears are probably going to want to be tanking and they're probably going to want to be taking Caleb Williams. I know that's what I would want to do if I was their fucking GM. But they have Justin Fields. I don't think Justin Fields is going to want to tank because if Justin Fields loses a couple more games, he's not going to have a fucking job on the Bears. He's going to have to go somewhere else because they're going to take Caleb Williams or something. Javon, where is your head at with this whole Bears are tanking situation? By how I've seen them look the last 2 weeks, I haven't seen any tank in them yet. It seems like coaches are still coaching for their jobs. It seems like quarterbacks are playing for their jobs. And it seems like this team is actually starting to look a little bit better in the last couple of weeks. They could really look
they-
worse, so it's not surprising,
Yeah.
right? But they have looked a little bit
Well-
better. They're starting to get their feet under them, and for the first time in a while, we saw the Vikings last week look human. Even though they pulled out a nice win there, we did see them look human. So I would not mind the spot for the Bears if we can catch the momentums, continuing to move up for them and down for the Vikings. And yeah, the Vikings did lose that game, but they still covered. Of course they did. Unbelievable.
The Panthers are tanking for them, so it really doesn't matter because they have that pick. So I mean, like they could tank so they have 2 picks in the top whatever 4 or 5, but I don't think it's realistically going to matter. It's like I Justin Fields is playing for his job, like you said. I don't give a shit. They're not tanking again, especially in these games. They have the Panthers to do that for them.
Okay. All right, chat. W's. We can go into some prize picks here, Javon, if you want. I'm going to be on the Bears in this game now. Give me the points. Give me the +3. Give me Fields. Give me this offense who seems to be coaching for their life. Give me this defense that looks much improved with Montez Sweat. Not surprised. He's a fucking beast. Montez Sweats don't grow on trees, and we shouldn't be trading them for third rounders. Anyways, I'm taking the points here with the Bears. Guys, if bets like the Bears +3 don't hit, everything I believe in, everything I stand for, all my reasonings for my wagers, especially in the NFL, they don't mean shit if bets like the Bears tonight don't win. And I've been getting slapped around a little bit in spots like this early on this season. And this has happened before, all right? Usually the year starts out a little more square. The season starts out a little more square before we really settle in. But if bets like the Bears +3 don't hit, I don't know ball. Plain and simple. I'm okay with sitting up here and talking about that and saying that because I know it's true. Bets like this pay the rent. Bets like this get you out of piss. And bets like this hit more often than they don't. Now, that's not to say that some fluke shit doesn't happen in this game tonight and Justin Fields, when they're down 2, he throws a Hail Mary pick 6, and then they don't fucking win and cover. Shit happens. Do not put your actual rent on a fucking bet, ever. Do not be a bozo. But I'm pretty confident in this side tonight, especially after what we saw this weekend and the public grub. Javon, I don't know if you saw it, but more favorites cash this weekend, potentially, than ever in NFL history if the fucking Vikings win this game tonight. If the Vikings win this game, if the Vikings cover this game, more favorites have won and covered this week than ever before in the NFL history. That's a stat I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Crazy shit. It's been chalk McGee out there in the NFL, folks. And that's not going to last. You know why it's not going to last? Because I've seen this movie before. And Vegas doesn't look like it does by bets like yesterday, all hitting every single day. Okay? Public teams yesterday, public bets yesterday. Sure, the public fucking grub. You know where they're putting all those coins today? On Josh Dobbs and the Vikings. Yeah. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to lose all of them because I've seen this movie before. More money is on the Bears, brother. Check the splits. I guarantee you.
I'm looking at them right now. It's 25% of bets, 37% of money on the Bears. So blatantly false. I don't know where we're getting those splits. So this is another favorite with a lot of money on them. We'll see how that plans out after this week.
Starting to see some 2.5s floating around, folks.
Some 2.5s. 2.5s.
I'm seeing them float. I'm seeing them float.
Let's go to
Any
the
slots greater than sports books. I've said it 4 times. To Jen, yes, I know these places make their money off the slots. Yes, it's sad, but you know what? I'm sure as hell they don't want to fucking see a Vikings win today because they're going to get absolutely burned once again.
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
We can all agree the sports books are probably rooting for the Bears tonight, and that's the side that I want my coins on.
Uncle Phil's survivor pick on Vikes.
Wow. See, the Bears have life. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Sure.
Regardless of which book you check, there's not one that's realistically going to tell you that there's more on the Vikings or more on the Bears. It's got to be Vikings. But yeah, let's go to the PB board.
Okay. Let's pivot. I really like that Josh Dobbs less than 1.5 pass rush receiving tutties. Javon, what else do you like?
There's a couple different angles. Like I said, the Dobbs passing attempts, because I think it's going to be less of a successful run game for Madison and the Vikings. But if you also look at a guy who is the go to the receiving yards category, Goots, and look at what's up there, because there's one guy who, I mean, last week was a pretty popular selection because he's a little backup running back there, and Ty Chandler, and look at what he did last week. 37 receiving yards. sort over that line. This line's been taken down throughout the week. And you go to the other side, go to the left there, the guy who hasn't really seen quite the passing volume that Ty Chandler has in the last couple of weeks, Alexander Madison. That's the way that I would love to back him, because I don't think he's going to do much in the run game. I think Dobbs is going to be forced to take a lot in the short game. And that square being up after, he's had a majority of these games no more than 2 targets. In the last couple of games, he's had 2 or less, and he's had a negative yard. Last week in primetime, square is up for a reason. Dobbs is going to have to throw the ball because they can't run the ball. They're going to have to check down quite a bit, not just when Ty Chandler's in the game on third down running back scenarios. So I will gladly take this.
I love that angle. I love that breakdown. Ty Chandler's been their guy through the air recent weeks. Sure, let's fade. Let's flip that motherfucker, and let's back Madison through the air. More than 10.5 receiving yards.
Yep.
I'm in. Sure. Love it. Let's keep moving. Do you want to back Ty Chandler at all today?
No, I've seen his name too much already.
Okay. All right. Any other squares that you were surprised that are up?
Not surprised that I'm up. It makes a good bit of sense, I think, what we see on the board. There's other angles that I wouldn't mind backing either. Like, I know a lot of people are on that rush attempts for Justin Fields. I would rather take his yards. I think you said the same thing there. I think he's going to be running out of the pocket for his life for parts of this game where he gets heavy pressure. Obviously, we know how much the Vikings blitz. It hasn't really changed since the beginning of the year. Still sending a ridiculous amount of pressure. Are they getting through as much as they should? No, not necessarily, but that only means more rushing lanes for Fields. So, that line has been taken up. Obviously, we saw what he did last week in his return against the Lions. I think it's going to be pretty similar, especially if they're going to stay in and or win this game.
Okay. Did you see Addison receiving yards to Jen saying greened out? That's interesting. He didn't hit it in his last game, but he was close, and the other 4 he did. Huh.
Last game he was on pass retained for a bit of the game too. So that's the fact that he came close is kind of impressive, and the line is not much higher. I think this is the same exact line that it was at, if not like maybe a yard or 2 above it than last week. That's a little strange, I'd say.
Jalen Johnson masterclass, Phils wants to know about.
Same person again on Madison. No way he's on Madison receiving yards too. We just, I guess, have the same brain.
Sure.
Same brain.
Love to see it. Book of Choose on the over. What else you guys betting today? Oh, wow. It got bumped up 4 yards to Jensen.
It was at 43.5.
Sheesh, dude.
That's even more ridiculous that they put up a greened out chart against the Bears. Lower than what he got against one of the best cornerbacks in the league.
Yeah, it's weird.
Keep me off of Jordan Addison today, that's for sure. Keep me off of anything in the past
Osborne,
game other than Madison.
What about Osborne?
It's not a bad idea because I think like the volume's going to be there for these guys, but I'm not sure what to do outside of the dump down factor. Because I like Madison. I might just keep it to that.
Okay. All right. Well, chat, we got 2 squares that we like for you right now. We got Josh Dobbs, less than 1.5 pass rush receiving tutties. We got Alexander Madison, more than 10.5 receiving yards. Javon, that was very, very sharp. That angle, that sell job. You also mentioned the Justin Fields rush attempt / rush yards. You'd rather take his rush yards, which I'm with you on that. What else am I missing here? Was there another Geiserman that you mentioned real quick that I missed?
Dobbs pass attempts. Did you sleeve that on there?
Yeah, that was the other one. Okay. Dobbs pass attempts, which I also like, and I've heard a decent amount today and seen on the feed, but you know what?
Yeah, I've seen that a time or two.
In a negative game script,
yeah,
I don't hate it one bit. Okay. Gun to my head, I'd rather take his less than pass rush receiving tutties with his total now creeping down, like Fat Girls was talking about earlier, but I would not mind his pass attempts either. Sure.
Yeah.
All right, chat. Well, 2 squares we definitely like are that Madison more than receiving yards and Dobbs less than tutties. Okay. I'm going to take the Bears on the spread tonight. Javon, I have a feeling you are too. I don't know if you're going to get there for the king of the board, though.
I'm not getting there for king of the board. I'm not.
Okay. I'm going to cash in my first play here with the Bears +3. Let me make sure they're still at +3. so I'm not cheesing you out of anything. Okay.
You got it on the screen here. You're still getting 3.
There's still 3 here. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to get a magnifying glass to see those. I got like 700 things above my screen right now. Okay. Let me cash in my first king of the board play this week, chat. I'm going to go with the Bears +3. All right. And like we talked about earlier, we're going to fire off a tweet here this afternoon. Typically, they'll be Monday mornings, but you will pledge your allegiance to Team Javon or Team Krabs. Team Crab or Team Milk. All right. In the mentions when Goots fires off this tweet this afternoon. So all you got to do when you see the BTL tweet, like you guys already tapped in, like the tweet, vote for the poll, whoever the hell you're taking. And in the mentions, like it's going to say in the tweet, just respond with Javon or Krabs or a milk or a crab emoji, whatever the fuck it is. Okay. And then we're going to go back on Friday. And after I wipe the floor with Javon, we're going to pick somebody who put a little crab emoji down there. And we're going to give you guys some free Prize Picks promo. It really is that simple. All right. W's. Javon, you want to sneak in any NBA or NHL plays before we wrap this up?
I have a 2-piece. Look at this right here. This will work.
Goots. Oh, it's less than. Okay, Goots.
Less than full.
Okay, Goots. All right. Little Dobbs more than pass attempts and Poole less than points. Any reason you're fading him besides that he sucks?
He sucks. Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. That's
fair at this point.
That's all I need. Yeah.
Javon, any opinions on Jordan Poole tonight?
I can't say I have too much there. I guess maybe a scary game to fade him in because there shouldn't be any kind of defense in that game, but he also just is very bad. So can't fault you.
Definitely cannot fault him for wanting to fade Jordan Poole right now. Are you kidding me? All right. Goods, W's. Javon, any Prize Picks or any other book plays you wanted to take on the ice or on the professional association?
I'm good on the association. Sneak ice play, though. Sabres +1.5 against the greatest team of all time, New York Rangers today.
Okay, what do you like about the Sabres?
Yeah, so this one is – these teams are typically, like, addicted to close games. Like, if you look throughout the history, I mean, I don't have the exact number, but these teams – they're in overtime. They're in a shootout 90% of the time they play. This year is the one exception. The Sabres got blown out initially. It's a little bit of a different team, but now they have UPL in net, who's been shockingly good for them this season. And on the other side, Igor, for whatever reason, is not very good when he faces teams that don't fire shots on net. Like if you look at a lot of his worst performances, it's like when the Predators in the Garden put up like 20 shots on him, he gave up 4 goals. Like a lot of those teams that don't let him see volume behind that defense, like he hasn't been good against. So now with the Rangers coming off of destroying the Bruins, they've been on a ridiculous run, period. And the Sabres coming off of a couple of the most pitiful SOG performances in like all of the NHL, including getting destroyed by the Devils 7-2 over the weekend. Now they have their only competent goalie in nets. I think this is going to be a tight game. So taking the +1.5, probably going to see an overtime in this game, I think. 6.5 down to 6 on the total as well, too, is something I like to see. This just screams 3-2 in OT to me. Somewhat.
Will there be a Javon OT ticket?
Yes.
In this game?
There will be an OT ticket.
Okay. All right, chats. Buffalo and the Rangers. If you're trying to get weird as hell tonight and take the fucking weirdest bet maybe ever, you ride with Javon. You take Buffalo and the Rangers to go into OT. All I'm going to say is last time we talked about this, the game went into OT. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. We'll leave it at that. All right? Yep. Yeah, people forget about the last one. Yeah, they do. That's what I'm fucking saying. They literally forget about it. They've already forgotten. Alzheimer's time. I'm reminding them right now. Okay? I don't want to jinx it anymore, though. Jesus, I've done enough. Anything else on the ice? By the way, it was always the Predators last night. God damn it.
Yeah, it was. That was a random sharp nugget from you. I didn't expect that one. But yeah, nothing else on the ice. I did make a little bozo pack with in the best bets with Eastern Kentucky money line and the Bruins ML, which they're super juicy, and they've actually been rat shit for the past week. And I think I love the fade teams playing back-to-backs against super physical teams, which usually that falls under the Islanders, but the Blue Jackets just got wailed on by the Canes last night. I think I gave up like 40 SOGs. They lost the game. Canes are a tough team to play against. Now you're going back home, but to play the Bruins, who are kind of reeling right now, it just feels like a get-right spot. Maybe it's difficult for them to do it. It's ugly. They're going to pull it out. That's what I think. But Yeah, it's a little bozo pack piece.
Wow, because you're afraid of the -6. I don't blame you. I don't
Yeah.
blame you. Yeah, that's a good play. If you think the Bruins get it done on the ice, does it scare me looking at this game on paper and seeing the Bruins, short of the -2, -300 when they are 14-3 playing the Blue Jackets? Yes, it does. But does Javon know puck? And do I trust? Yes.
They have lost 3 of 4, if that makes you feel any better.
It does. It also scares me, though, at the same time. But overall, yes, it does make me feel better.
Yeah.
Does it make you feel better that Columbus hasn't beaten the Bruins since 2021?
I mean, they haven't beaten many teams since then. They're absolutely terrible. Terrible.
Okay. Bruins, Eastern Kentucky, Bozo pack. Unbelievable. You're going to be the only person on earth locking that one in. That's exactly where we want to be.
Yeah,
Love
probably. I hope so.
All right. Awesome. Chat, I am locking in my first king of the board play for this week, Bears +3. All right. Book that shit. I'm in. We're going to tweet about it later. Just stay posted. Check out the book at BTL Twitter after the show today. That's all you got to do if it's still confusing, okay? For now, though, Javon, we got to craft up a little squad ride action. You want to put Buffalo +1.5 in there since we're still on the ice?
Yep.
Hopefully it'll pay better than Buffalo +3. Son of a...
Hey, at least it didn't not pay. We take a push sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes in this economy, you just got to take what you're given.
In this economy, we'll take a push.
Yeah.
Right. Chicago +3.
Yep. Down.
Let's go to the CBB board. You want to take Fresno ML?
Yeah, Fresno or the under.
I mean, I like the under better. You like Fresno better. We can put both in.
I was going to say, I don't know that we have many plays that are going to take that spot, so we might as well put both in.
Yeah, I'm good with that. UCSB and Fresno and 141. We'll go Fresno ML. Now for the 5th spot, we could go Eastern Kentucky. We could go the under in the NFL game. We could go player prop. We could go a prize pick square. We have options. We do.
We would love to take a prize pick square. I feel like every time we do that, it ends up being most, though. So maybe we just
want to put in
Eastern Kentucky.
-6.
Yeah.
Sure. Chat, 5 plays, 5 winners. You have 3 minutes to lock in your vote, and I want to see at least 100 votes, okay? Buffalo +1.5 on the ice. We've got the Bears +3 on the gridiron. Give me UCSB and Fresno under 141 and Fresno ML, along with Eastern Kentucky -6 on the hardwood. All right, chat. 5 plays, 5 winners. Lock the fuck in. Go, 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 go. Hurry up, go, go, go. Lock the fuck in. We need a winner for today. I know I sure as hell do. I need one like fucking oxygen after what the Chargers did last night. Zay Flowers, buddy. Ever heard of taking a knee? Ever heard of just calling it and just being a veteran and being mature and not being selfish? Ever heard of it? Have you? As Goots turns his camera on and shakes his head at me and then turns it back off. W Goots. Golly, man. All you got to do is fucking go down and you guys win the game. But you need your rookie tutties. You need your celebrations. I get it. If I was Zay Flowers, I probably wouldn't slide either. Who knows? I'm not actually fucking pissed at him for that. But the right play to do in the football game is for him to go down because we've seen comebacks in the past with that shit. But what do I know? I'm just there sitting back on the couch losing fucking money on the plays. Zay does not respect corn. No. Stick Kid Sports, he went for you, but he hates my corn. I also lost in fantasy last night with Zay Flowers, who I started in my lineup over Devontae Adams, and I still lost by 4. Unbelievable.
That's unreal. That is unreal.
Stung. You know what he had? You know why I lost in that fucking matchup, Javon?
Boy.
Dolphins defense.
I bet.
23 Berg.
I bet.
I'm the commissioner of this league. I might be getting rid of defenses after that one. I've been hurt.
That's crazy.
I'm pretty sure I'm out of the playoffs now in that league too. So great. Make it up, dude. It's been one of those weekends.
That's piss.
It's been one of those weekends, folks. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to turn it around today on a Monday with the squad rides. What more could you ask for, chat? Get your fucking votes in. Hurry up. Go, 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 go. And make sure you stick around for the surgical stream starting up here in about a minute, chat. we're going to the gridiron. We're taking the Bears +3. I'd be lying if I said that's what I wanted to see, but it is. And it wins by 1 vote, Javon, over the Sabres. Wow. So you're telling me if I paid attention and voted for the Sabres, I could have saved myself some cake here.
Maybe.
Got to be dialed, man. Got to be dialed. Chat, all jokes aside, Bears +3. That is the best play on the board today, in my opinion. And we'll catch you guys at the counter, and we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. We'll be seeing. All right, go check out the BTL Twitter after the show today.